Hello and good day. Today in pre-algebra we are covering CO6 using equivalent fractions to simplify a fraction and solve a proportion. Only one definition today, and that is equivalency. What does equivalency mean? Yes. Equal. Okay. And when we talk about equal, we talk about things having the same value, right? Things having the same value. So equivalency are terms, and today we're going to focus on fractions, but terms with the same value. Okay? Terms with the same value. And as you've been told before, okay, to find an equivalent fraction, you need to multiply or divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Why is that? You know, if we wanted to find an equivalent fraction to 3/7, and I go ahead and I multiply 3 by 2 and 7 by 2 to get 6/14, did I multiply that fraction by 2 to get 6/14? Because if 3/7 and 6/14 are equivalent, usually when you multiply something by 2, you know, your number gets larger, right? Those aren't equivalent values. Okay? So why is it that when I multiply 3 by 2 and 7 by 2 to get 6/14, that's an equivalent fraction? Did I really multiply by 2? Ifan? No. What did I multiply the fraction by? Since I multiplied both 3 and 7 by 2, what value did I multiply the fraction by? 1, exactly, right? 3/7 times 2 over 2. Think about multiplying fractions going straight across. This is essentially what we just did here, right? Multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. In effect, you are multiplying or dividing by 1. So even though our numbers change, 3 becomes a 6, 7 becomes a 14, because I multiplied by 1, the value stays the same. The value stays the same. So equivalent fractions or equivalent values might look different, okay, but they have the same value. All right. So just some quick practice here with writing equivalent fractions. Okay, we already did 3/7. Your directions are write 2 equivalent fractions for each given fraction. Check your answer by comparing the decimal values of all 3 fractions. So pick one you'd like to do together here. We already did 3/7, an example there, so pick a different one of the remaining 7. Yeah. 24/36. Okay, so here's the given fraction. So I'm going to write it over here. What do you want to do to write an equivalent fraction? You want to multiply by something or divide by something? What do you want to do? Yeah. Divide each by 6. Which really, we're just dividing by 6 over 6, which is 1 whole, which is why the value of that fraction doesn't change. But our new fraction, 24 divided by 6 is 4. 36 divided by 6 is 6. Okay? We need to write 2 equivalent fractions. So what else do you want to do? Jacob, you had your hand up before. What would you like to do to get an equivalent fraction? You want to multiply or divide? Divide by 12. That works. Okay. 24 divided by 12 is 2. 36 divided by 12 is 3. So we have 4/6, our first equivalent fraction, 2/3, our second equivalent fraction, and 24/36, which was our original fraction. And the directions say, you know, you can check your answer by comparing the decimal values of all 3 fractions. How do we get the decimal value of a number like, or a fraction like 24/36, where 36 doesn't really go into 100 evenly? So we can't use the method that we talked about back in CO2. What can we use instead? 4 divided by 6, right? Take out a calculator. That fraction means division. You can take 24 divided by 36, 4 divided by 6, 2 divided by 3. Since they're all equivalent, the decimal values for each of them will be the same. Okay? What decimal value do we get if we divide 24 by 36 or 4 by 6 or 2 by 3? I see calculators just sitting on desks. Take it out. Check it. What do we get? 24 divided by 36, 4 divided by 6, or 2 divided by 3. What decimal value do we get? Yeah, 0.6 repeating. Okay, there is a 7 at the end of the calculator, but why is that? Aiden?
Because the calculator doesn't go any farther.
The calculator doesn't go any farther, so what does it do?
It puts a random number.
Not a random number, no.
It puts the next number.
Well, the next number would be 6 because it's 6 repeating.
The number after that number, if it would be 6 and 7.
It rounds, right? Your calculator doesn't go any further, so it rounds. Okay, so it's not a whole bunch of 6s and then a 7. It is really 0.6 repeating. But my point is, if you do that with 4/6, 4 divided by 6, you'll get the same thing. If you do it with 2 divided by 3, you'll get the same thing. That's how you can tell that these three values are all equivalent. As fractions, they look different, but their decimal values are going to be the same. Or decimal values are going to be the same. Okay, and that this line, in case you don't know, this line over the decimal means that it repeats. I don't know, maybe you didn't know that, but that's rather than writing 6 forever. Okay, we have that mathematical symbol for this repeats itself. Okay, I would like you to take about 5 minutes and work through the rest of these, writing 2 equivalent fractions for each. We'll come back and we'll talk about some answers. So pause the video and we will return shortly. And let's go over some answers. Raise your hand if you can give me one equivalent fraction you got for 8/10. Someone who did that one. Yeah. 4/5. So 8 divided by 2, 10 divided by 2 gives us 4/5. Good. That's one option. How about 28/20? Someone that did that one who'd like to share what they got. Go ahead, Maggie. Sorry? 7/5. And what did you divide by to get that?
4.
Divide by 4. Good. And again, just to kind of hammer it home, did you divide the fraction by 4? No. You didn't divide the fraction by 4. You essentially divided by 4/4, which is equal to 1 whole, which is why the value doesn't change even though the numbers do. Okay, if you put that into a calculator, 28 divided by 20 is 1.4. 7 divided by 5 is also 1.4. Okay, 5/4. What did you get for that one? An equivalent fraction to 5/4. 5/4. Yes, me. Multiply each by 2. 10/8 might be one option. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of what we're doing here in that top section. And where we're building here is getting down to proportions. Okay, what is the definition of a proportion? As I struggle with the scrolling, you think about that. There you go. What is the definition of a proportion? Are we all learning something new today? Well, then what is it? Tell me. Oh, you don't remember? Okay. So we're all either learning or being reminded of something. So a proportion For our purposes today, is essentially two equivalent fractions, right? Two equivalent fractions. So in the above page there, right, when we had 3/7 and we multiplied each number by 2 and got 6/14, that's a proportion, right? 3/7 equals 6/14 is a proportion. They are two equivalent fractions. In context, you might say that, winning 3 out of 7 games is the same percentage as winning 6 out of 14 games, right? 6 is more than 3. In fact, it's double 3, but 14 is also double 7. So you really did the same thing. Okay? That's a proportion. Two equivalent fractions are proportions. And so where we're building here is solving for an unknown value in proportions. Okay? It says below are proportions. Find the value of n using equivalent fractions. See how this kind of ties together here? And you can check your answer by, again, comparing the decimal values of the two fractions. So we've got 1 over 2 equals n over 60. Tell me what the value of n is and how you found it. 1 over 2 equals n over 60. What is the value of n and how did you find it? Using equivalent fractions here. Have you folks done this before or is this new? Done this? Okay. Connor. And why 60 divided by 2? So we're talking about scale factors here, right? We're looking for the relationship between 2 and 60. Okay? 2 times 30 equals 60. So to get n, what do we have to do to 1? Multiply by 30. Right? And we get n to equal 30. That's how the concept of equivalent fractions can be applied to solving missing values in proportions. 1 over 2 equals 30 over 60 is a correct proportion. What's the decimal value of 1 over 2, or 1/2? Decimal value of 1/2. Ifan. 0.5. What's the decimal value of 30 divided by 60? Anyone care to take a guess? Jacob? 0.5. Okay? We know that this is a true proportion because those two fractions have equivalent decimal values. Okay? Let's go to this third one here. 3/10 equals 27 over n. Tell me how we can solve for n here using equivalent fractions. And the question you might be asking yourself here is, well, how do we get from 3 to 27? Right? Because equivalent fractions involve multiplying or dividing by the same thing. So whatever we did to 3 to get to 27, we're going to do the same thing to 10 to bring us to n. So what did we do to 3 to get to 27? Multiply by 9. That means we're going to be also multiplying 10 by 9. And n is going to equal 90. Okay? Using those equivalent fractions to solve proportions. So we've got 3/10 equals 27/90. If you put both of those into a calculator, you're going to get the decimal value of 0.3. Okay? 0.3. Any questions on this? Okay, we're going to pause here. We'll finish the rest of the page tomorrow. I don't want to get too far into it and assign homework with only 5 minutes left. But I'm going to tell you, tomorrow you're going to be having a quiz on objectives CO1 through PO5. Okay? It'll be an open binder quiz, so you can use all your notes. You can use everything that you filled in your binder thus far. There will be a quiz tomorrow, CO1 through PO5. If you forget your binder at home, you're out of luck. Okay, you can't borrow someone's, you can't not take the quiz. Okay, so make sure you have it tomorrow if you want that assistance. You will not be able to use a calculator on the quiz because you will not be able to use one on the test coming up. All right, so no calculator on this. Yes. Your homework is to prepare for the quiz. If there's any objective, CO1 through PO5 that we've done so far that you want to kind of take another look at, your homework is to prepare for it and review it. Okay? Ifan. Oh, folks, there are still people asking questions. Ifan? There is no homework for tomorrow other than prepare for your quiz, which will be on CO1 through PO5. Okay? Hey, folks, you were eerily silent through the entire class when I wanted you to participate. Now I'm asking you to be quiet because other people are asking questions and you're having side conversations. So just quiet until we get. Yes, go ahead. You can ask me then. Sorry? Khan Academy is due Thursday. Yep, but as far as for tomorrow, Wednesday, we've got a quiz, CO1 through PO5. All right, folks, we'll continue this tomorrow. That is how you math.